Subscribe to our channel for more videos. Hi kids, welcome to SySy Toys. Today you meet Sleeping Beauty. Princess Aurora is hidden far away from the palace, cared for by 3 good fairies. But can they protect her forever? Or will Maleficent's spell come true? Let's find out.
Sleeping Beauty. Long ago, in a faraway land, King Stefan and his queen held a feast to celebrate the birth of their daughter Aurora. King Hubbard and his young son Philippe came from a neighboring kingdom to attend the feast. The 2 kings made plans for Philippe and Aurora to marry on the princess's 16th birthday. Also, at the celebrations were the princess's 3 fairy godmothers, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. Each of them had a special gift for the princess. First, Flora waved her magic wand over the baby's cradle and said, "I give you the gift of beauty." Then Fauna waved her wand and said, "I give you the gift of song." Finally, Merryweather fluttered over the cradle. She raised her wand to grant the 3rd gift when suddenly there was a crack of lightning. Maleficent, the wicked fairy, stormed in. She was furious that she had not been invited to the celebrations. Stroking her pet raven, Maleficent glared at the baby princess. "I also have a gift for you," she hissed. "Before the sun sets on your 16th birthday, you will prick your finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die." Maleficent threw back her head and laughed wickedly. Then she disappeared in a cloud of purple smoke. Merryweather gave a gentle cough. "I still have my gift for the princess," she reminded the horrified king and queen. She went over to the cradle and whispered, "When the spindle pricks your finger, you will not die. Instead, you will fall into a deep, enchanted sleep. From this slumber you shall wake when true love's kiss the spell shall break." The king was terribly worried about his daughter's safety. He ordered every spinning wheel in the kingdom to be burned. Then he and the queen sadly agreed to the fairy godmother's plan. They took Aurora far away to a place where Maleficent wouldn't be able to find her until her 16th birthday had passed. Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather renamed the princess Briar Rose. They moved into a little cottage in the woods. There, the fairies put away their magic wands and disguised themselves as simple, pleasant women. As the years passed, Maleficent kept searching for the princess, but she never found her. As the princess's 16th birthday drew nearer, Maleficent sent her trusted pet raven to try and find her. It was Maleficent's last chance. The morning of Briar Rose's birthday finally arrived. The 3 fairies sent her to collect berries in the woods, while they prepared some birthday surprises. After gathering the berries, Briar Rose rested in a woodland glade. She sang about falling in love with a handsome prince. Her woodland friends found a cloak, a hat, and a pair of boots that had been left in the forest. They dressed up as a make-believe prince. Briar Rose joined in their game, dancing and singing with them. The clothes belonged to Prince Philippe, who after a long ride was resting in the woods with his horse. Philippe was enchanted by the beautiful singing coming through the trees and went to see who it was. The moment they met, Briar Rose and the handsome stranger fell in love. They felt sure that they had met somewhere before. When it was time for Briar Rose to leave, they arranged to meet that evening at the cottage in the woods. Meanwhile, the 3 fairies set about making their birthday surprises, but before long they were in a terrible muddle. Fauna had baked a birthday cake, but the mixture was too runny and the cake was lopsided. Flora and Merryweather had made a special gown for Briar Rose, but it was an awfully funny shape. "It's no use," said Merryweather. "We need to use magic to sort this out. I'll fetch the wands." Before they dared to use their wands, the fairies blocked up every gap in the cottage. They had to stop any magic dust from escaping and alerting Maleficent on their hideaway. But they forgot to block the chimney. It was so wonderful to be able to use magic again. Flora waved her wand and a beautiful pink gown appeared. Then Merryweather waved her wand and changed the gown to blue. Flora changed it back to pink. All the time, magic dust was escaping from the chimney. Maleficent's raven was searching nearby. He saw the magic dust and decided to fly down and investigate. When Briar Rose returned to the cottage, she thanked her fairy godmothers for the beautiful new gown and the delicious cake. "This is the happiest day of my life," she said. Then she told them about the handsome stranger she had met in the woods. He planned to visit her at the cottage that very evening. "It's time we told Briar Rose the truth," said Fauna. So Briar Rose learned that she was really a princess and would soon have to marry Prince Philippe. "Today, you must return to the palace and start your new life," said Flora. Up on the chimney, Maleficent's raven smiled. Briar Rose was heartbroken. She didn't want to marry a prince. She had fallen in love with the handsome stranger she had met in the woods. By now, the raven had heard enough. He flew off to tell his mistress that the search of Princess Aurora was over. As soon as darkness fell, the fairy godmothers led Briar Rose through the forest to the palace. They had no idea that Maleficent was already there, lying in the wait for them. At the palace, the fairy godmothers left Aurora in a quiet room to rest. Suddenly, a strange glowing light appeared. Aurora followed it in a trance. It led her up a winding staircase to an attic room. Inside the room, Maleficent was waiting by a spinning wheel. Aurora had never seen a spinning wheel before. The wicked fairy urged the princess to touch it. Aurora reached out and pricked her finger on the spindle. In an instant, she had fallen into a deep sleep. Before long, the fairy godmothers found Aurora lying by the spinning wheel. They quickly cast a sleeping spell over the entire palace. Luckily, the fairies had discovered that Prince Philippe was the stranger with whom Briar Rose had fallen in love. Only his kiss would wake her. So, while everyone was asleep, the fairies thought of a plan. They would return to the cottage, find Philippe, and bring him back to the palace. But they were too late. Maleficent and her soldiers had already found the prince waiting at the cottage and captured him. Maleficent took Philippe back to her castle, where she threw him into her deepest, darkest dungeon. She fastened him to the wall with chains and left him there to die. When the fairies couldn't find Prince Philippe at the cottage, they soon realized Maleficent must have captured him. They quickly made their way to her castle. As soon as it was safe, the fairies magically appeared in the dungeon and freed the prince. They waved their wands and armed him with a magic shield of virtue and a gleaming sword of truth. Then the prince jumped on his horse and gallops off to King Stephan's palace to rescue Princess Aurora. When Maleficent discovered that the prince had escaped, she roared with rage. She cast a spell that surrounded the palace with a forest of thorns, but Philippe was able to cut his way through with his magic sword. Suddenly, a huge and terrible black dragon appeared. The dragon laughed wickedly. It was Maleficent. Prince Philippe held up his magic shield so that the scorching flames could not harm him. The battle had begun. The dragon soared into the air and swooped down towards Prince Philippe. The prince hurled his magic sword at the dragon's chest. The beast crashed to the ground. Maleficent was dead. Prince Philippe raced towards the palace. He quickly found the room where Sleeping Beauty lay. As he gently kissed her, she opened her eyes. The spell was broken. The fairy godmother's spell was broken too. All around the palace, people began to wake from their enchanted sleep. The king and queen were delighted to have their beloved daughter back again. That evening, a magnificent ball was held to celebrate the wedding of Philippe and Aurora. The princess was dressed in the beautiful blue gown, but Flora couldn't resist turning the blue gown back to pink. Then Merryweather turned it back to blue, and so it went on, pink, blue, pink. The princess danced happily in the arms of her prince, while their proud father looked on. A dream come true, the prince and princess lived happily ever after.
Okay kids, I hope you enjoyed the storybook. Subscribe for more videos. Bye!